Now you might be wondering, hey, why is this guy talking about CYL all the way in late November? Well, the real answer is I have no video planned for today, so here you go. But the more fun answer for the channel is, this is something I kind of want to make, but I also want to talk about what would be the best case scenario for me when it comes to what units win CYL. Now, I want to make it clear, I'm not referring to any specific CYL, I'm just talking about generic in the future about 20 years that maybe these characters can win. The word dream in the title of this video is really carrying a lot. I want to emphasize that this is never going to happen, so if I see anyone talking in the comment section calling this unrealistic, yeah, no shit. Now, I'm going to be following two rules when I'm creating my units. The first rule being I can't use people who've already won. I think that's self-explanatory. And the second rule being each unit has to be from a different game. I'm just doing this because my favorite banners are the ones that have a diverse selection of heroes. If you want to post your Dream CYL in the comment section below, that'd be cool. Maybe I'll even comment about it. That sounds awesome. That being said, you don't have to follow the rules I'm doing if you don't want to. So I'm going to start this list with the character I want to win the most. Is it funnier if I acknowledge the fact that Thracia music is playing and something that involves a community vote? Leif's my favorite lord in the series, and Thracia's my favorite game in the series. Combine that with the fact that I'm completely free to play, I'm starting to realize why IS never listens to me. But that's enough self-reflecting, let's talk about the man of the hour, Leif. Now, if you don't know this, Leif is actually pretty well versed in several types of weapons. Considering half the player base has only played 3 houses, I'm gonna explain a little bit about who Leif is. And by that, I mean what types of weapons and movement type would he be, because believe me, he's got a lot of potential. In just genealogy alone, this man can use swords, lances, axes, bows, stabs, fire magic, thunder magic, wind magic, light magic, and then Engage decided he can also stab a bitch. In terms of movement type, well, usually he's a foot-locked unit, but he gets access to a horse when he promotes in genealogy. Although a lot of the time, CYL units take inspiration from characters that are close to them, so if he really wanted a horse, he can get inspiration from his dad, or his mom, or his dad number 2, or his sister-in-law, sorta. If he wanted to get on a bird, he could take inspiration from his sister. My point is, he can do pretty much anything besides maybe armor units, unless you want to inspire him based on a Hanaball, in which case that's kind of fucking weird. Now, the dream set that I want to see on him would be an offensive staff units. That has been something that's been becoming more and more realistic with all the staff skills that we've gotten this year, but I want him to push it to the max. Now, I'm not going to give you an entire kit for any of the characters I'm going over today, but I want to give you a general idea of what I want here. So first of all, I'm taking inspiration from Engage with the adaptability skill. I want him to have weapon triangle advantage against all color types. And I want him to be more so of a player phase unit than an enemy phase one, which is, kind of obvious when I said offensive staff, but oh well. And not only do I want him to have weapon triangle on red, green, and blue units, I want him to double that as well, because he's a CYL unit and he deserves to be broken. I'd want either his special or his B skill to be a brand new staff skill, and I would want the other one of those to be his preference skill. His preference skill could be some kind of power crept S drink, where it gives him a bunch of cooldown and maybe some other things like damage reduction, piercing, or anti-guard or something. Whatever allows him to deal the most damage, which considering he's a staff unit, he'll probably need the specials to do. Personally, I would prefer him to be a horse unit. I would prefer him to be based on Ethlin, but Nana's also an option. That there's my most wanted design, but I want to stress the fact that he can do pretty much anything. Like, you can give him a brave lance and make him based on Finn. You can give him a really powerful lance, make him based on his dad. You could give him a really powerful lance and have him be based on Altina. Give him a sword and have him be based on Ethelyn. If you really wanted to, you could give him a wind tome and make him based on Sed. You can give him a sword and have him be kind of like Seliph. You could give him a suit of armor and have him be based on Hanaball if you really want to stretch it. Look at all these options that you have. So for the love of God, don't just make him God Sword 76! And I want to make it clear, I also do not want him to be a colorless Bokev. That would also piss me off. Moving on to my most wanted woman to win CYL, we gotta represent my queen from the latest game, Timerra! Of the 4 lords, Timerra has always been my favorite, because she's got by far the most fun design, personality, playstyle, and most importantly, she pretty. In terms of weapon types, I can really only think of 2 things, that being a bow based on Fogado, or some generic tome based on her mother. I want to point out that I really do not want her to have a lance, because her Halloween version has a lance, her base version is probably going to have a lance, and her legendary version is probably also going to have a lance, and probably all of them are going to be infantry too. So I really want to avoid that weapon and movement type combination. A weapon type that just came to mind is giving her an axe to reference the fact that she starts with Emblem Lake. Personally speaking though, my favorite weapon type for her to have is just some random tome. Her design could be based on Queen Saphiora. If she's gonna have a tome though, her design is either gonna be based heavily on Saphiora, or we're just gonna get some generic Queen of Soul outfit that's completely made up for Fae. In terms of her actual playstyle though, all I care about is they reference her fuck it we ball playstyle. So give her some kind of sandstorm ability and give her some kind of, I don't know, increased cooldown count when she's near people. Basically the exact same thing as her Halloween ult, but on drugs. Now, her preference skill, in my opinion, should be an actual special attacking thing in reference to Emblem Ike's attack. I want it to function as a sort of start of turn AoE attack that heals her based on how much damage she deals. Kind of like what Garen has in his Refine. Thing is, to balance it, I guess it can happen every other turn, maybe like every even numbered turns, or maybe every odd numbered turn, or something along those lines. Point is, I just want it to happen. Let's go back to the men's division to determine who I want to win second place over there, and it actually took me a long time to think about it. The first thought I had in mind is I had to think about what game gets about as bad as Thracia in terms of representation in FEH. Because, oh, believe me, being a Thracia fan is kind of fucking hard. And the only game that came close to my expectations was Echoes, because, I mean, look at Echoes. I mean, it might have it slightly better than Thracia, but let's be fucking real. We know each other's pain. I also wanted to be a little more unique, because when you look at the previous winners, the closest thing we have to a villain is Edelgard. And I want to change that. With those two criteria in mind, that pretty much just leaves me with these chuckle fucks, and I'm gonna go with the one in the middle. Now, it's gonna be kind of hard to justify a brave version of Berkut, considering that he gets nay-nayed towards the end of his game, so we're gonna have to do a little bit of lore rewriting, kind of what they did with Camilla. See, this Berkut is from a world where he became the Emperor of Regale because Rudolph tripped on a pebble or something, and so did Alm. So he's the new king now, and when he took over, he killed all the Duma faithful, and he solved all the problems, and everything's going well, and Renea is now the queen, and Renea is happy, and please, for the love of God, tell me Renea is okay. Because he's the ruler of Regale, his design should be primarily based on Rudolph, his dad-ish. Okay, I know I said dad, but he's really his uncle. Please don't correct me. I don't want to edit that back in. Now, for secondary design elements, he can take inspiration from Alm, but I think it'd be a lot cooler to take some inspiration from Walhart. Now, I am very well aware that Walhart is very much based on Rudolph's design. However, I don't care. Give him an axe or something. In terms of weapons, I can't really see him using magic, so he's kind of stuck to the physical attacking types. I don't want to give him a sword because the other two Echoes winners already use swords, and I don't want to give him a lance because all the versions of Berkut in the game so far already have lances. So that leaves me with axes and different colored bows. Now, I want to go for a more safe and realistic Berkut set first. And the main thing I think of is make him an axe cav. Now, I want him to be an enemy phase cav unit with an axe. See, that's a little more creative because most of them are fucking lances these days. The only thing I care about is, first of all, it needs to have distant counter because Walhart's weapon has distant counter in the base game, and that's going to be the main inspiration for this weapon. The second thing that I want is that for it to have some healing based on every time you hit someone. Like, give him, like, I don't know, like 15% healing every time you hit something. Now, the reason for that's actually a little weird. When you fight Walhart in Awakening, for whatever reason, he literally has the soul sword in his inventory that's never explained why. I want Berkut to have some healing on hit just to reference the fact that he has soul. Mind you, I do not want soul as his special because that sucks. In terms of preference skill, I don't know, make it be based on the keepsake ring or something. I really don't care what it does. And for the next set, I'm gonna warn you. You're gonna wish I never cooked again, just like how all my Smogan fans feel. I want him to be a Bocav, colorless, with absolutely dog shit speed. I'm talking single digits, and then he'll have extremely high everything else to make up for it. And I want him to be a player phase nuke. And mind you, in his kit, I do not want to follow up. I do not want a brave attack. I just want him to point at one thing and have it be deleted. I do not care how this affects the meta. I do not care if it's even going to be good. I just want him to do big damage in one shot, and then I don't give a shit what happens for the rest of the game. There are 3 legendary-esque bows in Echoes, and he can take any one of them. Now, I do want to say he probably shouldn't have Parthia because Claude decided that's his thing, so he's left with either the Blessed Bow or Luna. Considering that legendary Alm already took Luna for himself, I guessed he could finally have the Blessed Bow, which means, hey, we finally have blessed weapons in the game. That's right, eat your heart out, Azura. This is a really awkward transition to the fact that my second place woman is Azura. Between all the units that I've said so far, Azura is by far the most likely to win a CYL. Hell, she's soared consistently well every single year. The year she performed the worst, to my knowledge, was CYL 4, which is, you know, if your name wasn't 3 Houses Fire Emblem, you didn't win. But that being said, I can totally see her winning within the next 5 CYLs, like easy peasy. I want to make it clear, I picked Azura for 2 reasons. 1, I really like Fates and I wanted to give it another winner. 2, I like Azura. 3, I lied, there's 3 reasons. Pretty made a video about how dancers got it bad in FEH. I'm gonna link it down below. I swear to God, if you forget Future Dorado, I'm gonna be pissed. That being said, watch it. It's nice. It's great. Now, between all the dances in the series, Azura probably has the best. Her base version was pretty damn good for a while there, then her sequel version was also pretty goddamn good, and then her legendary version was the strongest legendary we had for years, and then her Atari version was pretty much a side grade or an upgrade to her legendary, depends on who you ask. Not to mention, all 4 of her different alts were completely different weapon types, and she's also pretty diverse when it comes to movement types as well, so it's pretty hard to say that Azura's got it rough and fey. So because of this, I want to try to avoid fucking it up for CYL, but it's kind of hard to come up with things for Azura, if we're being honest. They could give her a red tome and have her design be primarily based on Arate, but that kind of feels wrong. Like, I know she technically does love her mother, but for the most of the game, her mom's an antagonistic force, so having her design be based on that's kind of weird. She could also do Makoto, but at the same time, she doesn't have too much of a connection to Makoto, at least when compared to Korin, and I feel like if anyone should be based on Makoto, it should be him, or hell, even Ryoma. Personally speaking, the design that I would go with would pretty much just be her legendary design combined with the black dress that she wears in Kirkensia. I'm not fact-checking how to pronounce that place. Now, I said a second ago I think the most likely weapon type is going to be a red tone, which I do think is true, but allow me to be a little creative here. I'm going to suggest that we get our first staff refresher. Now, I don't know the details of how this would work entirely, but the TLDR is she would have a preference assist skill that not only heals someone, probably removes all their debuffs, gives them a couple buffs, and then dances them. I feel like that would be the best thing that she can do. Maybe it could be like a big AoE healing, kind of like how her preference skill works in, the fuck is Fates called again? Kind of like how her preference skill works in Fates. Besides that, it's probably going to be a toss-up if she's going to be a bow unit or a flyer unit. Personally, I think I'd want another flying Azura. The only issue with that is that kind of kill off legendary Azura's niche, but you know what? She's been around long enough, damn it. Either going with the staff route, they may as well give her some more staff exclusive skills. Staff units really need the help. They're down bad just like dancers. But with that, hey, there you go. There's my 4 Dream CYL units. What do you think of this list? Do you hate it? You fucking better not. I like it. I think it's a lot of fun. Leave your list down below. Oh, and while you're at it, go ahead and tell me what GHB you want too. Like shit, I didn't think of that. I'm gonna go with Toma because TMS fans, here's a little bit of attention. And then you're gonna go cold turkey yet again for another 10 years. Bye!